We have our answer. It's Wall Pass Wednesday on SDH AM. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. John here, you there, and we have our answer. The skies have opened up. The sentence is now closed. The question that was presented now has an answer. And no, I'm not Jason. I got to fix that real quick. It's just me. Just John, as always. And now that we've fixed that, we can get back to the seriousness of the morning. Morning, thanks for dropping by, as you always do. John here, you there. We have our answer of answers. The question that has dogged us for the longest period of time, we now know what we're getting into. From the Atlanta United 2 section of the website, quote, as of 6 minutes ago, MLS Next Pro today announced the 2's home match against Chattanooga from the 24th has been rescheduled. Match was abandoned. Well, it was abandoned in the 70th minute. Clock was reset to 69:30. The game will be resumed Thursday, tomorrow, 1 o'clock in a closed-door match at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground, MLSNextPro.com, and SDH Network. So after a week, almost, 6 days plus, well, let's see. So if the match itself was postponed about 11 o'clock, so 23, 14 hours minus a week. So 154 hours. We have our answer. I think it's 154. It is now 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon, closed door match, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. Match day 26 is going to be completed. Actually, hang on just a second. Hang on. Hang on just a second. Hang on. Weather for Marietta. All right, so let's check Marietta's weather. Marietta. John could spell. He might have a decent chance of actually getting the information that he's looking for. Marietta, Georgia. Not hourly weather. We don't need hourly. We need daily. So the 10-day forecast for Marietta. Clear skies tonight in 61. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 77. Okay. So we're there. So somewhere in the mid-70s, that's where the temps will be. And we now know that the final 20 minutes of match day, 20 minutes plus stoppage, will be played behind closed doors, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground, tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. So resetting everything in that matchup. And I guess this is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Hit that QR code. You get your day started there. And then what you do is you buy out the store, because we want you to buy out the store. Reason coming up in a second. You hit that QR code, you buy out the store at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use the code SoccerDownHere15 at checkout. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay. So, a week ago, you'll remember that in some parts of the city, it was raining like you know what. Game stopped at in the 70th minute. It was rewound to 69:30. That was where the clock froze. Clock froze at 69:30. We had delays upon delays upon delays, and roughly anywhere around like 11:30 or midnight, we finally were just like, yeah, this isn't happening. You listen to the interviews that we had with the Atlanta United 2's interim head coach, Jose Silva. About 11:15, everything was looking good. Field was draining. Full credit to Kennesaw State. Full credit. Because it was looking pretty bad. And for those of you that followed us on social media that night, us and voice of CFC Gabe Schrei, you saw the photos. You saw the videos about just how that thing was turned into lake fraction. Then starts to drain. Everything's great. Players are still coming out in street clothes. They're testing the surface, all that stuff. 11:15, it's good. Then you're in that 30-minute window. Once again, 7-mile radius of lightning. You're not allowed to do anything. You're on the clock. You come out at 11:15. Jose Silva says it's looking good. Then skies open up again, and you're like, yeah, this isn't happening. So like 11:30 at night, everybody starts heading home. Chattanooga wanted it to finish because they were up a goal, and that would ensure for them what in the wide world of sports they were going to. But you could see they would come out of their locker room, and they would kind of look down the tunnel. You'd have a group of guys every single time that the coaches would come out and the refs would come out. And the center ref, by the way, was enjoying showing off his checker skills and trying to figure out what was wrong with the surface. So you end up with Chattanooga FC players having to trudge home on a bus, probably got home about 2, got into bed about 3, and then we waited, tried to figure out what the answer was going to be. We now have the answer. Atlanta United will chase the 1-goal deficit tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground, closed door match. So you have that to look forward to. But the subplot here being this, as we continue our saga involving Atlanta United 2 and the MLS Next Pro playoffs. This one was a match that needed to be finished. And it needed to be finished independent of the 90 minutes at Fort Finley coming up on decision day at 1 o'clock, 1:03. Everybody kicks off at 1:03 on Sunday afternoon in the Eastern Conference. So here's what that match means. Because of everything that happened on the weekend, because of the big win that Atlanta United 2 had on the road at Bridgeview, taking out Chicago Fire 2, who for the third time in a row gave up 5 goals in a match. Here's where we are. Red Bulls 2, Philadelphia Union 2 at 55 points. Once again, Union 2 wins less. So Red Bulls 2, they're in the driver's seat, tiebreaker being first win. First number of wins. Revs 2 took it on the chin. They're at 51 points. They're dragged back into the discussion of 3, 4, and 5, and possibly 6. Revs at 51 points, 1 match to go, decision day. Huntsville City, 1 match to go, decision day, 49 points. Chattanooga FC, 20 minutes plus decision day, they're at 48 points. That's where they are. They're in the middle of all of that 3, 4, 5, 6 right now. Chicago Fire 2 with the loss to the Twos, 46 points. 1 match to go. They can finish no higher than 49, which if everybody lost out, you'd be getting into goal difference, but that still is Huntsville City's. And so right now, Chicago, if they won, no one else did, finish at 49 points, they'd be no higher than 5th. Core is a part of that second group, and this is the chaos that the Twos are in right now. 39 points, match to go, decision day. TFC 2, 38 points, match to go, decision day. We'll go over the schedule in a bit, and by that time, Tyler should be joining us. The Twos, 37 points, 20 minutes plus decision day, 37 points. So if Atlanta United 2 even gets an equalizer and goes into penalty kick shootouts with a point, they would still be in 9th at 38 points with a match to go. Because TFC 2 has 10 wins, Atlanta United 2 has 9. Once again, that's your first tiebreaker here. Orlando City B, 37 points, 9 wins. They just have decision day. Their goal difference is horrendous. Purple B is at minus 14. They've given up 51 goals this year. NYCFC 2 is 11th at 35 points. They need to win. They need a lot of help. They've got 9 wins. They win on decision day. It's 10 wins. And they would be even on goal difference, but they would get the tiebreaker over TFC because of goals scored. They have 50 scored. TFC2 only has 33. FC Cincinnati 2, by the way, who has a match to go this week, tonight, 35 points, 7 wins, tonight plus decision day. That's everybody who's involved right now in the Eastern Conference. Basically, 1 through 12 have something to go for. 1 and 2, that's got to get sorted. 3, 4, 5, 6 has to get sorted. 7, 8 has to be sorted, but it includes 9, 10, 11, and 12 mathematically. Crown Legacy, Messi and Friends 2, Columbus Crew 2, they're out the door. Crown Legacy season over, 32 points and 7 wins. Messi and Friends 2, by the way, going into decision day, they've given up 67 goals. Kind of reminiscent of the first team. We'll talk about that in a bit. Crew 2 right now, 5-17, 5-1, 37 goals scored, 61 allowed. They did not win on the road this year at 0-11 and 3. So the schedule for tonight, 2 games. And if you're a fan of Atlanta United 2, you're rooting for Red Bulls 2. Red Bulls 2 go to Northern Kentucky University to take on FC Cincinnati 2, 7:30 MLSNextPro.com. Red Bulls 2 take care of business. FC Cincinnati 2 is done. They can't finish any higher than 38 points. And then they would need a lot of folks to get help and everything. So FC Cincinnati 2, if they don't get full points tonight, they're done. 37 points isn't going to do it for you. 36 isn't going to do it for you, and you lose at 35. That's certainly not going to do it for you. So FC Cincinnati 2 needs a win tonight to stay active in the playoffs in MLS Next Pro in the Eastern Conference. Penalty kick shootout win doesn't help. Penalty kick loss shootout doesn't help. Loss definitely doesn't help. So they need to win at home against Red Bulls 2 here in the midweek to still be a part of the discussion. And if they win, once again, 38 points. You see where we are with all this chaos here. It's fantastic for those of us that cover. It's nerve-wracking for all the teams. But FC Cincinnati 2, if they win, 8th win of the year, 38 points. They would be out on the tiebreaker. They would supplant Atlanta United 2 and be in 9th. But they would need a win on decision day to get to 41 points, and they need a lot of help to get in. Red Bulls 2 need to win in that battle of 1 and 2 on the road. But literally anything other than a win, FC Cincinnati 2 is eliminated, and then that means that it's just 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 separated by 4 points going into decision day and actually going into tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. Like I said, that's just the Eastern Conference. That's the Eastern Conference here. In the Western Conference, just to give you an idea, in the interest of equal time, there's a match tonight also in the Western Conference at 10 o'clock. The Town, basically, Earthquakes 2. The Aftershocks? I don't know. They host Whitecaps 2 at PayPal Park at 10 o'clock. That's also on MLSNextPro.com. If you're really a sicko, you just want to stand up and watch that, you can. But right now in the Western Conference, St. Louis City 2, above and beyond everybody. They're at 13 points. They're clear of the Town. The Town has tonight and the weekend. They're not catching them at 13 points with 2 matches to go. St. Louis City 2, top seed, all of it. Won the Western Conference, top seed. They won the pie plate version of MLS in MLS Next Pro. And so they're stashed away. The Town is a part of a mess at 2, 3, and 4. The Town is in at 49 points. Rapids 2's at 48 points and 14 wins. That could be troublesome for the Town if it comes to tiebreakers. Real Monarchs, 12 wins, 48 points. So 2, 3, 4 in the West, that's going to be decided over tonight and on decision day. 5, 6, 7, 8, Shamil Shamazel Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated. Whitecaps 2 at 42 points, 11 wins. Minnesota United 2, Loons 2, 41 points, 11 wins. Whitecaps 2 once again tonight. If they get a win, they're at 45 points, and they distance themselves away from 6, 7, and 8 a little bit. Ventura County, 41 points. Same record as Loons 2, 2 behind in goal difference. So that can be made up on decision day. North Texas is at 40 points. Decision day left, 10 wins. Goal difference, horrendous, -12. Los Verdes, Austin FC 2 is at 38 points. They need a win. They need some help. Dynamo Dose at 37 points. Same number of wins as Austin FC. They both have 9. Austin FC has 1 better in goal difference than Dynamo Dose does. And so right now, once again, here, and by the way, Timbers 2, Tacoma Defiance, LAFC 2, Sporting Kansas City 2, they're all done. So in the West, Louis above and beyond. 2, 3, 4 have to be figured out. 5, 6, 7, 8, once again, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Haas, and Pfeffer Incorporated have to be figured out. 9, 10 can get in, but they need help. So that's where we are in the Eastern Conference, in the Western Conference, in MLS Next Pro. And we will discuss this. Oh, look at the backdrop. Look at this. Look at you. I see blue. Is that blue sky and water behind you, sir?
Not water, no. I'm in Orlando, so that's actually, you can probably see the Epcot ball if I adjust well enough here. Hang on.
Okay, just go ahead and lift it. That's
you
fine.
See it?
Okay, there it is. So he's hanging back there. There it is. Okay, I'm down. I got it. Okay, so Tyler's in Orlando.
Yeah.
And so he's back from one part of the vacation, the part where we couldn't reach him unless we wanted to charge like $9,000 on a phone bill.
Yeah.
I did that once. Friend of mine, full disclosure, friend of mine got married, and he and his lovely bride, they were taking a cruise for their honeymoon. And so literally what I did when I found out, and he actually made the mistake of telling me what boat they were going to be on.
Ah, yes.
So I call, and I literally was like, okay, so I call, I dive in, I actually get them in the room. I said, I've got you. I know where you are. Enjoy your wedding. Stop talking to me. Hang up the phone. And he did. That probably cost me like $37.50 for that 25 seconds.
Uh-huh. You know, and on this one, they had they just installed Starlink. And they're doing it on a lot of these boats, which is cool, but I don't like it because I don't want to know what's going on in the world when I'm in the middle of an ocean on a boat. I don't care. You know,
Understood.
I just want to get away from it all. And so it's like, you know, they're like Starlink, you can, you know, do whatever you can be, and people were working on the ship, which is good for that. Like, if that's your thing, totally fine. I'm not judging you at all, but like when I go on a cruise, the world can pass me by. I do not care. I want it all to just move on, and I will be happy out there, ignorant to anything happening in the rest of the world.
Even like, seriously, the stuff that you report on a daily basis, there's no casual interest or anything. You're just kind of sitting there and you push back away from the table and everything's cool.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I think I've gotten to the point, I think, where I'm like, if I didn't do that, you know, stemming from like prior careers and stuff too, like if I didn't, I don't know how my mental health would be. So I'm like, you know what? It'll carry on. It'll be fine. I'll catch up because I will catch up when I get back. I do. And like, you know, I've gotten back to Orlando a few days ago, and as far as covering Atlanta, Scarves and Spikes and all that stuff being handled, you know, Sydney, Henry, Tommy, Gray, Jackson, like they're all doing their thing, and it's great. And you know, I go back and I watch the games and check up on things, and of course, you know, things would be scheduled when I literally physically could not attend, like the grand opening yesterday. And
I know
there was a mini pitch that opened literally around the corner from my house where I grew up playing baseball, and I couldn't make it to that. So it's like, well, of course it would happen when I'm gone. But as far as like covering it and catching up on it, I'm like, you know what? It'll be okay.
Well, yeah, and a lot of us went down to the opening for that mini pitch down there, and it was very cool. It was beyond cool to see all of that happen, and to see all of the video from the unveiling of the studio space yesterday with Atlanta United. You know, look, Uncle Arthur, he knows what the team needs, and when it comes to making sure that you are as prepared as humanly possible before you go out and you're practicing and getting out there on the pitch, it is absolute class, top A, you know, prime choice, filet mignon, Ruth's Chris looking studio space and building, and $25 million, and We're still waiting for John Texter to pay the $30 that he owes to cover the cost of the studio, but that's just another thing that we got into with our buddy Jason Stevens. But once again, class act all the way around Atlanta United, unveiling the studio space yesterday and the mini pitch, just a part of the stuff that they do off the field to make sure that everything on the field is as prepared and as represented as possible.
Yeah. You know, I know it's such a rough season and all, but like, I guess I look at the way things are going off the pitch for Atlanta. And of course, the most important thing is what's happening on the pitch in terms of like successful football, obviously. But if they could just make that one tweak and get things back on track on the pitch, it will not take much at all for this club to be back where where everybody wants it to be. You know, I mean, I'm down here in Orlando, and we went to Disney Springs yesterday. And I'm walking around, and I see Atlanta United stuff still, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive. You go in, there's a Pele soccer store down here, and I walk in, and the first club that I see, the first MLS club, I should say, that I see is not, in fact, Orlando City.
It's not
it is Atlanta United.
So Atlanta United still has its impact in Central Florida. Purple team be damned.
Yep, they have their whole little section of the rack right there, and to get to the purple team, you got to go around the corner to the one little aisle, and it's not the first thing you see. And I'm like, that's kind of wild, actually. So, you know, it's that, man. It's there. If they could just get the product on the pitch right, Atlanta United will be back where it belongs. But I mean, it's gotta get a good off season.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit. Before you came in, I was going over the chaos that has turned into the playoff picture in MLS Next Pro. And we finally have a resolution time for match day 26.
Yay!
Tomorrow, 1:00, closed door, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. Chattanooga FC only has to pack 2 vans because they don't have any subs left. They can't bring anybody else in. They got 3 dudes on yellow cards that are still part of that active 11 going up against Atlanta United. Jose Silva, I think, has 1 sub left to him. So it's going to be 20 minutes, 30 seconds of chaos, plus added time behind closed doors to set up decision day in MLS Next Pro. Chaos personified. I don't think that the season probably could have gone any other way considering everything else that's gone on.
No, and that was not a big surprise. Like getting back, you know, because like before I left, obviously Atlanta played San Diego that day before.
Yep.
And that was, you know, that was neat. But then my focus has just kind of been on the twos and how everything is going to go with them, because it's been such a fascinating race. It's been so close. And then they come out the other day and just curb stomp
Chicago,
the Windy City team.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, Jose Silva, just to his credit, he has been playing a really, really enjoyable, fun type of soccer. But what stands out to me is that you've got these guys like we say and Weah, and I mean, you can insert a lot of them, but they're working together. They're clinical. They are they're taking their opportunities and making the most of them. And that's kind of been the biggest difference, honestly. Like, you look at that last game, and it wasn't that Atlanta just dominated the pitch for 90 minutes, but when they had their opportunities, they buried them. And that's what you have to do. Like, that's the name of the game. And so now you have Chattanooga coming up twice.
Uh-huh.
And Chattanooga, we know this, but they have been perennially one of the best teams, obviously just getting into Next Pro, but before that, like, they've always been a good organization. And if you ever chat with anybody in Chattanooga that works for the club, like, you know how much they care about it, all of them, from the top down to the fans. And so, yeah, they're not going to make it easy. And in a way, it's going to be a little bit of a spoiler situation, is I think what they're going to be trying to do. But it would be so much fun if this is how Atlanta United 2 made it into the playoffs.
Yeah, and so to go through your main rival, or one of your main rivals. Well, I mean, if you think about it, Huntsville's a rival, Chattanooga's a rival.
Yeah.
Crown Legacy, Purple Team. Where would Chattanooga rank in the pantheon of rivals, considering that you've got two independents that are attached to everything?
I don't know, man. I think Chattanooga's got to be up there because before the twos had any history with any of those other teams, it was at least the Atlanta United organization and the Chattanooga FC organization having history. You know, they had, at least with the first teams, they had their very first match back in the day.
Yep, the
And they've
concrete
always had
cherry
the
pie
preseason.
kit's getting unveiled
Yeah.
at Fort Finley.
Yeah, so it's like I think it's one of those rivalries though where there's a lot of love between the two. It's not like both clubs hate each other, you know. So, but I think that's where you're going to have the most history. Like Huntsville's great. Huntsville just came into Crown Legacy, same thing. And there's been some fun matches between all those, but like it's just, to me, you have such a mixture of the fans between Chattanooga and Atlanta that it just fits. I was up there a couple of months ago, and I went into the Chattanooga store, and I was talking to the guy that is the head of their marketing and puts out all of their merchandise. And he was like, yeah, you know, everybody up here loves Atlanta, and we hate that the season's going the way that it is. But like a lot of these people, they are Chattanooga fans first and Atlanta United fans a very close second. And a lot of folks make the drive down from Chattanooga for games. Noah Cobb's parents beat some of them. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's just the proximity helps a lot. The fact that it's just a straight shot down one interstate it makes it easy. But I think you got to give it, like, I think this would be the best way. I don't think it would have the gravitas if it were a Huntsville or a Crown Legacy.
Yeah. It's Chattanooga and Atlanta, and it's once again tomorrow, 1 o'clock, behind closed doors at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. Chattanooga's just got to bring 11 players and their coaching staff and the balls and the gear and everything. But Jose Silva, once again, he's got one more sub. I'm hoping that everyone who is in the office building gets the lunch hour off, or they push the lunch hour on the complex to 1 o'clock to where everybody just goes out to field 3 and just yells the entire 20 minutes plus. Take that half hour and just start ranting and raving for the entire thing. So we'll have the broadcast on SDH for the 20 minutes, 30 seconds plus added time, plus stoppage and whatever's added tomorrow. Once again, Thursday, 1 o'clock, MLSnextPro.com for match day 26 completion. Before we all head into decision day, Sunday at 1 o'clock, all the Eastern Conference games get decided. We figure out who's in, who's out, and then who gets to pick whom. And you get to figure out who gets picked last, who's going to get picked last when it comes to the playoffs and the 4 and the 5 and everything. So chaos personified. We have answers, and it'll be interesting to see what's going on with the twos. All right. So you mentioned the first team, and it was another long night for the twos up in New England. It was 2 goals in 3 minutes, and it ended up with a 2-0 loss. And so this is where things are once again with Atlanta United. You're on the road, and you go from New England to take on an LAFC team that has been absolutely bonkers ever since they brought in Heung-min Son. I think the last 17 goals have activity from either Sonny or from Denny Bouanga. And LAFC, I think LAFC probably should frighten a lot of folks. I don't care what conference you're in, but LAFC to me is that team right now.
Yeah, Son came in and he became, I think, exactly what a designated player, a fan of that team would hope for any designated player. Like, you always want your DPs to be the game changers, and I think all of us, when the summer transfer window happened, we kind of cautioned, and it may be coming from an Atlanta perspective where, you know, the DPs haven't quite performed where they need to this year, but like, we kind of cautioned against being too optimistic, essentially. And we said, you know, let these guys settle in. Let, you know, the Thomas Muellers settle in. Let the Sons settle in. Like, let these folks settle in. And they just came in and started doing work.
Yep.
And so I mean, Son has fit into that team like a glove. It's been honestly, there really hasn't been a downside, and so I think overall they are probably now one of the top. I would say top two, minimum top three best teams in MLS overall. And I'm
Yeah.
not just talking about like the standings. I just mean like how they're playing soccer,
The
what
Tyler
they're doing.
Pilgrim Power Rankings has
Yeah,
LA.
yeah.
Yeah.
Starting here, and here.
Yes.
But yeah, I just think Son he's taken a team that was good because LAFC they didn't start the season off great. They just kind of have been, a little better than average. They were kind of floating around in the playoff spots.
They aight.
Yeah, and then but you're still putting a lot of the load on Denny Bouanga. But then you bring in some help in Son, and you see the quality that he possesses, and he instantly makes an impact. And yeah, to your point, you have goal contributions of some variety coming off of him and Bouanga nonstop over the past month and a half. I think that might go down as, looking back retrospectively, like the best of the summer transfers.
And I know that. All right. So then,
Unfortunately for Atlanta,
yeah. So in your Tyler Pilgrim Power Rankings, who else is in there with LAFC? You said top 2 or 3. So who else is in your 2 or 3?
I would. Let's see.
Are Messi and friends in there?
No, I can't do it. I gotta keep Philly.
Okay.
I gotta keep Philly up there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, though the past couple of weeks maybe haven't fully gone the way that they wanted, but I would say San Diego.
Okay.
Because San Diego is just playing enjoyable soccer. They're doing well overall throughout the entire season, and I still believe in some way that you could have that Philly San Diego. I don't know that it's going to happen that way, but you have that Philly San Diego MLS Cup. The way the rankings are right now, I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be cool.
That would be like matter and antimatter going up against each other. It's like Philly is just going to be like, okay, so we got 90 minutes, and all right, so we're going to do this. The clock's going to start. Okay, so all right, yeah, we're here, and yeah, do whatever you're going to do. We ain't moving. So yeah, so that'll be them for 90 minutes, and San Diego is going to be kind of like, all right, well, we're here at the party and we're excited. Literally, it's like the dude that had the cup of coffee, had the cafe cubano, and then the other dude who just got rolled out of bed.
Yep.
Literally, that's what you would have if San Diego and Philly went at it in the final. Last night,
adamantium versus lightsaber.
Sure, I will take your word for that one. Last night, one of the other makeup games in the busiest September that you could possibly have continued for Messi and friends. And so you're thinking, okay, it's Chicago. You kind of know what's going on. So Davila scores in the 11th. The little ball of hate, Johnny Dean, scores in the 31st. And you're sitting there going, what in the wide world of sports is going on with this one? 2-0 Chicago in the first 30 minutes. Then Tomas Avila scores to make it 2-1. Kouame scores in the 43rd to make it 3-1. That was the score at the break. And you're thinking, uh-oh. And you're wondering what in the what is going on here. But it's the same story, but we'll get into that in a second. 3-1 at the break. There's some dude named Luis Suarez. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, he floats around.
El Pistolero hit a brace within 17 minutes to tie things up at 3, and you're going, okay, game on, got it, understood. You roll the nets back out into the road after the traffic passes by. And then Reynolds and Gutierrez scored 3 minutes apart to make it 5-3, and that was your final. So Chicago, with that win, gets into the postseason. They are in. They're like Flynn. They are in. Ask James Coburn. They are in. And you have right now Chicago in at the 8. That much we know. But once again, you've got a handful of matches where things can be decided. Just as chaotic in the East and Major League Soccer. Philadelphia 4 points clear after 32. Cincinnati at 59. NYC at 56. Messi and friends match in hand at 56. Have a better goal difference, and they have one less win. So better goal difference for Messi and friends right now. They're at the 4. So the games kind of went as well as could be expected, short of maybe a win or two. So they getting all this compression out of the way. They're still in fourth. They could be in second if with this match in hand. Charlotte's at 53. Nashville's at 53. Charlotte with one more win. Nashville with better goal difference. Orlando, the purple team's at 52. Chicago in at 51. Columbus in at 50. So the East is set. We know who's in. We just don't know the where. That means Red Bulls are out for the first time in 15 years. The Revs are out. Toronto, Montreal, Atlanta, DC United, they're all out. But Red Bulls were the malefactor of what happened last night, out of the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. And for like the 985th game in a row, the back line and the defense for Messi and friends was exposed as they gave up a nickel on Chicago Fire in the midweek.
And I knew when you said we'll get to that point in a minute, I knew that's what it was going to be because it's the story that keeps telling it.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, it literally is. I mean, you just have to know. And it's funny because Miami and their defensive woes have a way of helping MLS teams in the playoffs. And I don't know. It's just you went out and did, big things, at least big names and all in the summer transfer window again. But it's like, at what point are you going to learn that you really have to fix your defense? Like, you've got to figure it out. And I get, Major League Soccer is Major League Soccer, and you can't have, 11 Messis or
give it time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. you can't have the absolute best of the best at each position on the bench. I understand that, but it would be one of the biggest shames, I think, in MLS history if it ends up being that you just couldn't figure out your center back situation for guys like Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, Busquets, all these folks, Rodrigo de Paul, if that's what ends up keeping Miami from actually winning MLS Cup while Messi is here. Because that's essentially what we're seeing right now. Like, the Supporter Shield is what it is. Other cups, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, MLS Cup in Major League Soccer is a big one. So, like, if you can't win these games in shootouts all the time. Lionel Messi, as good as he is not going to score you a hat trick every single game. But, man, their front office has got to figure it out because it's just if a team gets on one and just has a halfway decent run of form against the defense, then you can break these games wide open. Atlanta did it a couple of years ago, maybe it was last year, I can't remember. With the 5-2 match at the Benz in the regular season. If you get ahead, then they start trying to really, really push, and they have the goal scorers to do it. As you saw, like with Suarez, with his brace, they can come back in a game at any time. But other teams can also run away with one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what you're seeing happen.
Starting lineup last night for Messi and friends: Oscar Ustari in net, and Ustari, because 5 ended up behind him, punched a 5.5 on SofaScore. I cannot think of the last time a keeper had a rating that low. Goals prevented, which I really didn't know was a stat until this year. Goals prevented for Oscar Ustari, a minus 1.2.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Uh-huh. A minus 1.2. Goals prevented is a stat that measures a goalkeeper's effectiveness in preventing goals based on the ratio of goals conceded to the expected number of goals based on the quality of shots, otherwise known as XGOT, which I didn't know existed either.
Yeah.
A negative score means the goalkeeper conceded more goals than expected, the answer being 5 in this case. 1 save from inside the box, 24 touches, perfect on his passing at 19 for 19, and a bunch of zeros the rest of the way through. Nothing else in the stat bar for Oscar Ustari. Backline, Jordi Alba, Lujan, Aviles, who got a yellow, and the sun rises in the east and we pay taxes in April, and Cello Weigand. The midfield 4, Segovia, Busquets, Yannick Bright, and Rodrigo de Paul, and your 2 in the attack, Suarez and Messi. Yellows to Busquets and Yannick Bright, as well as Tomas Aviles. The substitutions, Ian Frey and Allende and Baltazar Rodriguez, who had a yellow card, came on at the half because of schedule compression and getting ready for the weekend. Noah Allen came in for Lujan with 13 to go. Fafa Pico came in for Yannick Bright with a handful of minutes to go. So that's your lineup last night for Messi and friends in the September to remember, where they have basically midweek weekend, 6 matches in the month of September for Messi and friends, and I think it showed last night.
Yeah, and you talk about Ustari, like that stat is almost like saying they would have been better off had he not been on the pitch.
We're gonna go empty net and go extra attacker.
Yeah, might as well. He on FOTMob, I was just curious. On FOTMob, he wound up with a 4.3. So that's significant. But
yes,
yeah, I mean, sometimes you look at the way that, like in this case, Miami they had all these games in hand,
mm-hmm.
and everybody was like, "Hey, you gotta watch out because they could come climb back up the standings." But then when you think about it, sometimes it is a little bit of a curse because you do have to fit all those games in at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only play so much soccer in a month. And especially when half your team is over the age of like 33 or whatever it is. I don't know.
Sounds good.
That's the conversation that we have had pretty much since these guys came into the league is how are they going to handle that second half of the season? And we saw it last year.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of ran out of gas to Atlanta's benefit. But I think maybe this could be, a repeat of last year because you said 6 games here in September.
Mm-hmm.
You've still got, plenty to go, and then you're in the playoffs. Then what are you going to do in the playoffs? So I just think the quality of the team beyond that typical like 13 or so that are kind of rotating through getting starts, it's just not good enough. And I mean, last night was just another example again about the defense. It's just that it's not good enough, and you're not going to win the ultimate goal. You're not going to win it with defense like that.
They have New England this weekend at the Erector Set to kind of put a wrap on all this stuff that they've had to go through. Then they play Atlanta in the international window a week from Saturday, and that is an option that teams have. They don't have to sit through an international window, and some folks have opted to go ahead and play. Messi and friends, with that match in hand, that is where that's going to be on the 11th, and then everybody on decision day, East Coast, Eastern Conference games. They go to Nashville to finish the regular season at 6 o'clock at Geodis. So 3 matches to go, navigable with New England, and then you have Atlanta coming to town, and Atlanta's always been a pain in the butt, and then you go to Nashville to wrap things up in the regular season. Speaking of New England, they had one dude sit there and pull his name out of the coaching search for the New England Revolution. Tommy Scoops et al. Sources, Jim Curtin stepped away from conversations with the Revs, ruling himself out of the running for the job due to family reasons. Curtin not likely not to take any job in 26 due to those family reasons, barring special circumstances. And we kind of had the feeling that with Jim Curtin and 3 kids, 2 of them right at the beginning of high school age, I think it's 17 or 18, 14, and 13. And knowing how he is with family, I wasn't sure that unless it was a gig that was close by, maybe Red Bulls, if they're tired of Sandro Schwartz, I don't know. But I credit Nick Alifi for that one. But no to New England. No to New England for Jim Curtin. And so now they are continuing to fish for a new head coach. So no Jim Curtin, at least in this initial round of discussions for openings that exist in MLS.
Yeah. And I think with Jim, first of all, I mean, from a family perspective, I love that, he's just taking his time and enjoying life for sure, because the amount of time that he spent with Philly, any soccer team, in any big league in the world, like you're going to be taken away from your family a lot.
And and he also has to figure out, he's probably at home watching a bunch of tapes on YouTube about trying to figure out how to be a coach in ish housing from your own coach's box. But that's just
yeah, and learning which version of the flop should I tell my guys to run this particular week. But no, I mean, I thought it would have been a cool fit, but if if he has the luxury, first of all, to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna stay unemployed for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him. And if it is that he's trying to hold tight to, something very close, then I do think there are a handful of teams up there that in that region that could benefit from Jim Curtin. I think he has a very distinct, obviously, style of play.
That's one way to put it.
And yeah, and he's not just gonna fit, in the random, like Vancouver or Salt Lake or one of the LA teams. Like
Las
if they were to
Vegas
come
Lights
through,
USL Championship. No, nothing.
yeah, Sacramento.
There you go.
But no, I mean he's not gonna fit there. You'd have to do a lot with the personnel to make Jim Curtin fit. But there are some other ones in the New England region that I think could be tweaked. Red Bulls being one of them, to absolutely work with Jim Curtin. Now, if he's not going to take anything this year, who knows what the plan is? But I think he could have the job by now. That's the thing. He could have a job by now. If he's just saying I don't want it at the moment, then hey, good for him.
Yep, and Dell is saying he's waiting until ChatGPT tells him it's the right opportunity. I was waiting for the idea about Jim Curtin. He's got to close his library first.
Yeah,
he's got to close his own bookstore and coffee shop before he figures out what gig is going to be the one for him.
Yeah, he's got to check in with Claude or Copilot or whoever to tell him it's time.
It's Copilot, is it time for me to get another job? Copilot responds, how does your bank account respond to this?
How's it looking? How many commas are in there?
Yeah, and let's see. So what is the cost of college for your eldest child currently? You sit there, you look at those kinds of things that are squared away. We didn't really get into Atlanta and New England. Obviously, it was, like I said, it was 2 goals in 3 minutes to kind of turn things around. And Ronnie, I don't know how much you read after the match, being on an island that is masquerading as a ship. I don't know how much you read or caught up with what happened after the match, but obviously Ronnie Dyla, not mincing a whole lot of words, not happy with performance, especially defensively in key moments and transitions that created chances for New England going back the other way. They were clinical, and it was 2-0 by the end of it all.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was saying in the beginning with the twos. Compared to the first team, the twos, they've been clinical, especially under Silva. They've been able to get the job done, and they've looked more comfortable. And the first team has not. The first team, like, you go back and look at the first half. They had opportunities to make that game 3-0 by the end of the first. And you just can't – I don't even want to say that you can't catch a break anymore.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but, I mean, you have Saba's free kick that misses by, like, a half a foot, and then you have all these other opportunities. You have the one where Tiare was offside and then missed it anyway. But, like, these opportunities are there. That's the thing. And I've said it all year. Atlanta United, they're doing great getting into the final third. It's just once they get into the final third, everything falls apart. Everything turns sour. And then on the other side of the ball, though the defense has been better, objectively been better, you still had moments in this one where you just went to sleep. And, Stian cannot get turned around in the way that he did on that counter.
Stian committed to, instead of keeping an eye on Turgeman, just basically, how like defensive backs sit there and say they look at the receiver's hips, one of those kind of things. Stian committed because he thought Turgeman was going to go to Stian's left, Turgeman's right. Yep. And he took too big a step and turned his hips to where it was going to be impossible for him to backtrack and regroup to a straight line if Turgeman made the move that he did.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I think looking deeper into it, a lot of that could be somewhat attributed to the positioning of your goalkeeper and your center backs. Like, there's when you play together, you learn nuances of each other. And, in a lot of cases, you would hope that as a center back, you don't need to try to make that move to cut that off because you know that your goalkeeper has it. If you cut off the essentially what's the near post, then you know that Jaden Hibbert has everything else on the other side, trying with with Turgeman trying to get around you. You don't have that with Jaden Hibbert in the back line yet, and that's not anybody's fault necessarily. That's just you've got a new goalkeeper getting time behind a new pairing of center backs.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine, but you just it's frustrating because that right there that makes it 1-0. The game's not done at that point.
Yeah.
But then you go in and you just fall asleep on a counterattack, and that's where it's frustrating because you just cannot let Matt Turner bypass half the pitch.
And that was something Ronnie Dyla mentioned in post, where it was something that was discussed. And I mean, look, do not let Matt Turner outlet to turn that into a verb. And you end up just glancing off of him, and you didn't knock him off his pins enough to disrupt the idea, which created the counter going back the other way.
Yeah, and then if you don't get in his face a little bit, then you have to be ready for it. And it's so frustrating to me. I sit there and watched it, and I was like, this is what I wish Atlanta United was doing with all the speed that they have going forward with Miggy, with Latela, with Tiare when he's playing, with Saba. Like, you have these guys that can get into a foot race with a lot of folks and win. And Atlanta has not done that enough this year, in my opinion. Now, that's leaning back into something Atlanta hasn't done that New England did well. But defensively, from Atlanta's perspective, it's just not – you can't get caught sleeping like that, period. And especially not after you just conceded a couple of minutes prior. So it is frustrating to see because you hoped that some of the additions would really, really step in and say collectively, all right, we got hit in the mouth. Now let's calm it back down and get right. And then something that you scouted out probably a billion times beforehand, you allowed that to happen. It's not like it was a fluke thing. You know Matt Turner's going to try this multiple times in a match. And then that's what you give up. That's what's frustrating because it's not a surprise. So
lessons learned.
Just got to get right, man.
Yeah, lessons learned. It will be an interesting offseason, that is for sure. All right, so what is the rest of your itinerary, sir, when it comes to your vacation before you're back inside the palatial studio next week?
So I will still be down here for almost a week. We just decided to take like 2 vacations in one.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they've been handling the normal shows. We'll have our normal show tonight, which I'm honestly not quite sure yet if I'll be on because that was part of the reason I was late for this one. I was trying to get the internet here to work, and it has worked on every other device except for my laptop. So I'm currently running off my hotspot.
Oh, there you go.
So we'll see how tonight goes for me, but the show will be tonight at 7:00. And then we will be doing a watch along on Sunday. It is Sunday.
Yes, Sunday.
Yes.
Sunday because
Sunday LAFC.
Yes, because it is MLS After Dark on Sunday night, and so Jason is in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Maddie will be in studio. I will be in Chattanooga.
Oh yeah.
So we have like all of us are spread to the 4 winds doing things in like different time zones and everything on Sunday, and so that's kind of where we are with all that stuff.
This is the time of the year, man. This is just how it goes.
You know it, brother. Enjoy. I'm glad that you've had the chance to step away, even though I give full thanks and appreciation to the boss for letting you step away and hang out with us with blue sky behind you. I'm not jealous or anything. So just enjoy your vacation. We'll catch up with you soon and just get back here in one piece and have a bunch of stories to tell, okay?
I promise I will.
There he goes, Tyler Pilgrim. He's going to go have coffee now and like other things and go actually enjoy his vacation. So, and this is the other thing. The boss does not get enough credit in these situations to let these kinds of things happen. And I don't know what is owed in return. Because you know that when we do things, we in the sense of me and the boss here, the boss, who is, by the way, in California on a recruiting trip. She knows about the morning show. She understands what the network is doing. And on a daily basis, she is like, yep, go ahead and do your thing. and I am truly blessed for that. So when we're at the beach and you know that I'm doing the show down there in January, then that's what we do. And she's literally, when we are on the beach and we're staring at the Gulf of Mexico for that week in January, she's staring at the water. So she is having her Zen moment with the Gulf of Mexico, or whatever you want to call it. She's having her Zen moment with the Gulf. And where she is going there, she is staring at it, and I'm just up early and I'm in the spare bedroom doing the show. And so she completely gets that. And for Tyler's boss of bosses to completely understand that, that is fantastic as well. And oh my God. Wow, we have a hot change. I was not sure. This was going to be a game time decision, and I don't know how long we have him and if he has to go, because we will let him cut the promo on it. So Dylan's here. So, dude, how long do I have you?
No, you got me.
Okay. Okay, good. Rebecca Gunn, head coach of SCAD's women's team, top 10 in the NAIA, joining us at the bottom of the hour. So if you would please, sir, please explain how busy you are at present to determine whether or not you could actually come by this morning.
Yeah, no, I just had a football coach call, which as you know, they're usually the longest, because I'm a freak with my preparation. So, I want to know who the backup is, and in case the backup gets hurt, who's the next guy in, and who's the long snapper, and who the holder is, and any dads who have played in the program, that whole thing. So my calls are generally longer than most. So
I'm right there, and you're juggling multiple sports at the moment.
Yeah, and then I have two Hofstra. It's ironic, actually, because it's two Hofstra versus Northeastern broadcasts. Women's soccer tomorrow night, men's soccer Saturday night, both on MSG Network. I will be the analyst for those two games.
Okay.
So that should be a lot of fun. And that too, that's speaking with those coaches, and watching as much film as I can on both or all four teams, right? So busy times.
Yes, and especially with things going on the MSG, we want to make sure that obviously there are no preservatives in your sports, and so you have to have all of the education that you possibly can. We were talking about it a little bit with Tyler before you came in. Once again, we now know the entire Eastern Conference.
Yeah, weird, right?
Very. And one team is out for the first time in since maybe the Nixon administration, and that is Red Bulls.
Well, slow down, because I did cover that 2019, which was atrocious. But
last time, it's
during the Juan Carlos Osorio era,
16 years before the last time that the Red Bulls were not in the postseason. I can phrase it this way and just go, what went wrong? Or was it more what went right with other teams in the Eastern Conference? Or was it what went wrong with Red Bulls this year?
No, listen, let's give the flowers to Chicago. It's well deserved, right? Like, props to Greg Berhalter. And the funny thing is, the question all year long, and I guess it's still a question, is can they defend, right? Like, he's got them attacking, like, it's like all, as soon as they have the ball, it's just like a flying V, like they're all up the field. And then God help them if there's a transition opportunity, but they're scoring goals, man. Like, last night, admittedly, I didn't watch the whole 90.
I think you got I think you got enough, though.
But I kept checking, like 3-1, like, oh my God, this one's over. Now it's 3-3. Oh, no, now here comes Miami, and then the 5-3. Like, not that, again, they're not exactly facing a defensive juggernaut either in Miami, but
no.
They've strung wins together, and look, they've won 7 out of their last 10 games. So it's about consistency down the stretch. They have it, and the Red Bulls did not. And I think it's, listen, good for them, right? Good for Chicago. First time in a long time that they've been in the postseason. And you like the comments that you hear from Berhalter after, right? Like, it's not like this isn't the it's a huge goal that they have accomplished, but it's not their end goal, right? And they could actually get out of the wild card spot in the standings. They've got 2 very winnable games down the stretch in Toronto. Although Toronto's been a little bit of a playing spoiler of late, but they have Toronto and New England. So you maybe get 6 points out of those. Now you would have won 9 out of your last 12 down the stretch. And maybe you get out of that wild card spot, and you granted you'll be away, but now you're in the best of 3 instead.
And I know that where Chicago is concerned, I know that I have never had, I have never had a club sandwich on Zinkernagel. But you see what they've been able to do offensively, and it has just almost been night and day at times. What we've seen in the past, where there have been struggles, there have been high-priced talents that you had high expectations on, and you get a guy like Little Shaq, Xherdan Shaqiri, and you're paying a boatload of money, and nothing's happening. You're getting results from what Berhalter wanted to bring in, and while you can say it's somewhat instant, it's an instant improvement on what's been going on. And they understand, like you say, it's a part of this progression that they have. And this is that first step in that, where they can really light you up if you're not careful.
Yeah. And they, they're getting it from their DPs. They're getting it from homegrowns like Brian Gutierrez. Yeah. I mean, it's an exciting team. I think, the MLS neutral that, like we are, you like to see fresh blood, right? In the postseason. Like, yeah, let's see what they have, like, great, good, you give them a puncher's chance because of the way that they, can score goals. But the flip side, like you said, for the Red Bulls, yeah, I mean, to me, it kind of started a little bit in the summer transfer window when you don't make a big splash there, where you needed to get that goal scorer. And then, just that every opportunity to maybe create a little separation, you didn't. And, you can't rely on, I don't know, the mystique, if you will, or the magic of we've been there for 15 straight times, so we'll find a way. Well, no, like, that's not the case. Obviously Saturday, it just felt like that was the death blow, even though it officially happened last night, where NYCFC comes into their house, sweep them, and then they've got to watch Chicago then win, their match against Columbus. So that swing obviously ended up being too much for them to overcome, and we all saw the ugly scenes afterwards as well.
Do we have an update on that, by the way?
No, haven't heard. No. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good at in Jersey.
No, and for those that may not be fully up to date, it was ugly scenes behind the goal with the supporters, and it has been alleged and is currently under investigation that Raheem Edwards was having things yelled at him that you should never yell at anybody under any circumstance, and so that is being currently investigated. You mentioned Red Bulls. Right now, they are on the 3-3 model, 3 DPs and 3 U22s. The decisions that have to be made: Kyle Duncan, option year for 26. Carlos Coronel out of contract. That's going to be an interesting one to pursue there, with Carlos Coronel out of his deal. Then you have Sean Nealis, option year for 26. Tim Parker, option year for 26. AJ Marcucci, who'll be coming off an injury, option years for 26 and 27. You have Curtis Ofori, who has an option year for 26. Peter Stroud option years for 26 and 27. And that's it. You've got a lot of folks that have contracts through 26. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, say that 10 times fast. That's a contract through 26. Forsberg's through 26. Bogach on the U22 is through 28 with an option for 29. Noah Isla, Genjar, both 27s. You've got Hack and Lewis Morgan that are 26s. So you don't have a whole lot of decisions, but the decisions you have are big ones, especially where Coronel is concerned for next year.
Yeah, and yes, and the concern there too is Bartucci, who has impressed. He's coming off a serious injury too, so you don't know how long you are without him. So that is a big decision to make. I don't think you see Duncan. I don't think you see Parker. But also there's decisions to be made, I think, even above that, right? When you don't make the postseason, there's got to be serious discussions in the boardroom, right?
How far down the rabbit hole do you go? I mean,
right.
You look at Sandro Schwartz. I mean, how much of it is laid at his feet when it comes to this?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's.
Is anyone safe?
No, I was about to say that. I don't think so. Jurgen Klopp, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, and obviously him coming. I don't see, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of folks just sat there and go, "Oh, Jurgen Klopp came by." No, there's a different context to it now. With him being in the Red Bull hierarchy, it's like, oh, that's cool. The former manager of Liverpool was there, and it's like,
I will say, and I did say it like in our match night Slack, because obviously I was on last Saturday. Was I would love it if when the new stadium for NYCFC is up. And by the way, I drove by.
You drove by Dylan Butler Estate?
And you could already see what's the architectural term when there's like the steel coming out of the ground, right? Like you could see.
Holy crap! You're finally building something.
It's crazy. But like it's funny because it's one of those two where it's enough is up where when you see the renderings, you're like, oh yeah, that's where this is, or I see where this is. Like, so it's pretty cool. But I was gonna say, like, when that's finally built and Pep is coaching NYCFC, how great would it be if Jurgen Klopp was coaching Red Bulls, right?
Man, that would be crazy. One of ours, Nick Alifi, he thought that Jim Curtin not taking New England might be something of a precursor where Curtin would be more interested in Red Bulls.
Yeah, more his cup of tea, certainly.
And the commute from Philly to the swamps of Jersey is a lot less than it is if you're going from Philly to Foxborough.
Well, and especially too, Philly to the training facility, because you're still going pretty deep into Jersey to get to, like, you're going well past Harrison. So, yeah, that's a good shout. I like that. I like that shout there. There are, look, there are some names out there, right? Of possibilities, but certainly stylistically, that makes a lot of sense.
You mentioned the other names out there, and a lot of folks are trying to link Peter Vermes to anything and everything. I don't know if Peter Vermes takes a gig unless he's got the power of the purse instead of just raging and questioning what people are telling him on the touchline. I think that he's got to have both titles or he's not going to take it.
I think that's a fair shout. I think he's got enough clout and enough experience within the league. He's right up there with like a Bruce Arena where it's rare. Well, and I guess Berhalter too, right? Like it's rare to see these dual responsibility guys, and I still think if you're wearing two hats. You're not wearing one hat fully. So something's gotta, unless you've got an amazing assistant or on either side, it's tough to, you only have 100% of your focus, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's going to be not somewhere all the time, but yeah, no, I think that makes sense for Vermees for sure.
Unless we have soccer's version of multiplicity, and then things might go wrong with alternate personalities and things like that with Michael Keaton trying to take care of things. How many? And we'll talk Open Cup and Can Champ and Campeones here in a second. How many coaching changes are you anticipating in the off season? Is it going to be kind of where we are? I mean, if we sit there, if we just look, let's just look at the standings, and however you want to break it down.
Well, I will say LAFC, despite as well as they're playing, they will have a coaching vacancy.
Yes,
I'm just gonna go out on a limb here.
That's
No,
a
it's crazy talk.
hell of a limb. That's a hell of a limb. When you look at these folks that are kind of on the edge,
Let's get Miguel Herrera in for that job.
oh, see, I mean, if you got Miguel Herrera at LAFC,
or we'll go to well, you can't wait that long, I guess. But I was gonna say, we'll go to Poch like after the U.S. crash and burn.
Well, I was thinking that Curtin would be involved in the USMNT after whatever happened with the cup that the entire world is chasing after in 26. I thought that Curtin might be heading in that direction, just attached to whomever else is there. You figure, I mean, would the purple team be dumb if they put Oscar Pereja out there on that short limb again? They've done it before. I don't know why I'm anticipating them being anything different despite levels of success. I'm not asking for common sense. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would think his job should be secure.
Yeah, and everyone else in the Eastern Conference, short of Atlanta, has had a coaching change, and there is faith in Ronnie Dyla. I don't think that Chris Henderson would have had the summer window that he did, where it was 6 in, 6 out, and Ronnie's bringing in his players. If you didn't have the faith in the turnover that's going on in Atlanta, and that it's going to take time to get it to that point. So I think the East pretty much is locked in place. You look at the West, Austin is north of the playoff bar, Neville in Portland, Colorado with Armas. They started out well, then they've kind of stumbled in. You're not going to touch Bruce Arena. Is there something in Dallas? Is there something at RSL? Is there something in Houston? We know St. Louis is changing. Kansas City has. And LAG isn't going to switch away from Greg Vanney. How much of the West are you anticipating?
Yeah, now that you kind of broke that whole thing down, less than I would think.
Yeah.
Because you've got like teams that won't make the playoffs, like say Houston, they've just made that change, right? And they've had success with Olsen. I don't think, what is it, year 3 for him, right? Like I don't I don't see that being a change. Nor would I see it necessarily with like Salt Lake or Colorado or so. Yeah, I mean, outside of the ones that we know about, maybe not any really, right?
Fairly quiet when it comes to turnover that hasn't already turned over. We've got a couple of title games tonight, and
by the way, Chris Armis's son, Alexei, is a starting number 6 for Hofstra's men's soccer team.
So AA is a starting 6.
Yeah, I said, wow, I really following in your father's footsteps here.
Oh wow, that's wild. So AA, the enforcer, is a 6 for the Flying Dutchman of Hofstra.
Well, the pride, to be fair.
Oh, I know, I know. But that's how old I am. Is that
I'm with you. I hear you.
I remember when they did the name change, and I made a point to race to the team store at the bookstore at Hofstra and get as much Flying Dutchman football stuff as I could get at the time.
Their head coach, by the way, Richie Nuttall, is stepping down this year after 36 years at the helm.
Oh, wow.
Spoke with him. He had a great little line. He said, honestly, this was never the plan. It was, and he's an Englishman. I think he's a Leeds guy. So he would just summer in the States and loved it in New York. And this job opened up and he figured, you know what, I'll do it for a couple of years. I'll head out to Australia.
Uh-huh.
And then, 36 years later, but listen, when, college soccer, I was thinking about this the other night, like, and I'm obviously dating myself a little bit here, but when it comes to in the Northeast, right? Like there's a few people that you just associate with programs like St. John's, Dave Mazer, Seton Hall. You used to at least associate with Manny Shellshite, right? He coached Sasha Kleshkin and actually both Kleshkin brothers. Ray Reed at UConn, and then Richie Nuttall at Hofstra, and they've done an incredible job there. He's won 8 CAA titles, the last 4 as well. So, you root for a guy like that, and he's going to stay in. And he was funny because he said to me, he got interrupted on our call, and he's talking to a guy, and he's like, I'm not even going to do his accent, but he said. He's like, the custodians here, they're great. He's like, I got Lefty and Richie, and Lefty brings me a coffee every morning.
Nice.
And, he's like, these are the people that you love. He's still going to be involved in the university, which is good for him. But he said, now I can have my weekends and nights a little bit freer. So.
And Bart Keeler at the Soccer for US POD does let us know about a coaching change involved with Atlanta, but it is Atlanta Braves coaching change.
We've seen a few of these so far, huh? Some axes dropping and people by Dylan Butler Estates wondering what will happen there with the Metropolitans.
Mm-hmm. The Braves and Brian Snitker today announced that longtime manager will transition to an advisory role within the organization for the 26th season, inducted into the Hall of Fame prior to a game next year. Completed his 49th season in the Braves organization, 9th full campaign as Braves manager, 811 and 668 at the major league level. His 811 wins trail Bobby Cox and Frank Seeley in franchise annals. Got his 800th September the 8th. 20 seasons in the minors, 1301 and 1309. 5 of his clubs advanced to postseason play. So Snitker goes into an advisory role after this year. Apparently, he informed it, according to Jeff Passan, he informed the team of his decision yesterday, but he's going to stick in a senior advisory capacity. So coaching change in Atlanta, but it's the Braves that get your coaching change this morning.
Have you heard the Morgan Wallen song 98
I have
Braves?
not. I have not.
I know you're not a Morgan Wallen guy, but
no, I have not.
That's a fun song.
I have not heard said song. No. So, but we will. Brian Snitker, end of an era with Atlanta. So with the Braves. So we'll keep.
And also don't get me started on baseball and analytics and oh my god.
Rebecca.
Listen, sorry, I just listen. Half a second here, right?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, do your baseball rant.
Max Fried is dealing.
And he was in Atlanta.
He's at like 100 pitches. So yeah, let's just take him out because the analytics say that. And then you have David Cohen on the broadcast saying, well, the Yankees need 7 starts out of Fried, and if they extend them here, well, guess what? If they lose tonight, they don't get any more starts from Max Fried.
Yeah.
So, and it was fine for the Red Sox pitcher. He threw 116. His arm was still fine. Sorry. But.
No, you're right there. And but David Cohn was not one to sit there and throw 98-mile-an-hour cheese and understand. It's like, dude, things are, look, you got a game where you got a guy who's at 100 pitches. How many? Where was he in his innings at that point when he hit 100?
Like not when they go to the pen, 7th inning maybe.
Okay.
I think Weaver came in, but like he was fine. And the bullpen has been horrible. So you know what? You're leading 1-0. He hasn't been in trouble. Yeah. He wasn't laboring. Give him a longer leash in the postseason.
See? I know.
That's all.
Well, I mean, that's what you're there
But
for.
analytics say we have to do this.
Yeah, I know.
And then analytics said bring in Jazz Chisholm as a defensive replacement. Oh, but guess what? Now he's a lefty who can't hit the lefty reliever. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. Let's talk Can Champ.
Oh,
Vancouver Derby.
Well, yeah, and so it's an interesting one, and you've got Open Cup tonight, you've got Can Champ, and you've got Campeones. So
I'm on the desk tonight.
Austin and Nashville in the Open Cup final. It's a chance for one of these two to finally get some hardware in house.
Love it. And you wonder too what it does to that team going, forward, right? And it's not even just there for them. I mean, how great is it too that this is the first professional championship in either city, right? Like that is super cool. So, I'm not rooting for either side. I think it's a great story for whoever wins it.
Yep. And then you mentioned the Can Champ. It is Whitecaps and Vancouver FC.
Yes.
So it's an opportunity for the CPL to sit there and plant a flag at BC Place going up against the Whitecaps, 10 o'clock Eastern time. And you're up for that one too, huh?
I am. And more importantly for the Whitecaps, the whole Cinderella story, you get it, right? And it would mean so much more to that league and to that team. But, the Whitecaps also know, listen, we get a win here. We're back in the Champions Cup extravaganza. So that is foremost, I think, in their minds. Like let's book our spot and get back there after after that great run they had this year.
And then late night, it's Campeones Cup, so it's Campeones to Campeones, and it's LAG and Toluca, and it's at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, 10:30 with LAG and Toluca. Once again, it's a chance for hardware.
Yeah, and it's your typical Campeones Cup where it's the last place team in MLS against the first place team in Liga MX, as we've seen every single year now. So.
All right, hit the promo for me one more time. What are you up to? You're on the desk tonight at MLSsoccer.com. You're watching those three finals. I know it's going to be a late night for you, but what else is going on?
Yeah, like I said, we got some Hofstra soccer on the MSG networks. Tomorrow, Thursday night at 7, Hofstra women against Northeastern women. And then Friday night, I've got a little high school football action. Iona Prep, St. Anthony's, a rematch of last year's Catholic Championship game. That'll be on YouTube Varsity Media.
There you go.
And then Hofstra men against Northeastern, also on MSG Network, Saturday at 6 o'clock.
And so it's the very busy time for our buddy Dylan Butler. As always, my friend, great to see you. I didn't know if we were going to get you with all the conference calls you had, but it's always great to catch up with you, find out what's going on as you sit there and figure out which mug you're going to have today, which is the Yankees. Of course it is. It's not your Newcastle or anything like that. So enjoy Champions League. Enjoy Hofstra. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
All right, buddy.
There you go. Dylan Butler hanging out with us in between conference calls. And so that means we're going to punch our clock a little early. We're going to go down to Savannah and find out what's going on at SCAD. Top 10 ranked team on the women's side, and that means that we get Rebecca Gunn, the head coach, to come and visit and find out everything that's going on as the Red Clay Soccer Report goes live on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Coach, thanks for dropping by.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. So coming into this season, obviously everybody is kind of gunning for you regardless year in and year out. Right now, you're ranked number 9 in the polls. What has the ride been like to get to this particular point of the season? You're getting into conference play, having to make all those trips down to Florida, hoping at 58 cents a mile. Where do you think you are right now as a club here in 25?
I think it's been partially a rebuilding year for us, just with graduating 12 players and the success we had last year. Last night we had a game. We got in early this morning, but we had played against number 2 in the nation, and we ended up losing 1-0.
Right.
But we have 6 new starters on the team, and so it's been a change. It's been a learning environment for us, and it's, I feel like we're where we need to be at this point in the season. So
when you're going up, and I have been to the University of Cumberland in my time in the NAIA dealing with the Southern States Athletic Conference. I've had to make that trip to Cumberland's, Kentucky, and I know what that trip is. That is not a trip that is, we're just going to sit there and take a nap and we'll be fine and open our eyes and everything's cool. For someone who doesn't quite understand the travel aspect and what it's like to have to pack up a team and figure out, okay, how many vans and how many hotel rooms and all this kind of stuff, break down what a typical, and I'll use that word in quotes, a road trip is like for you in making sure that you get everybody on the same page, out the door, and have them as ready as possible, even if you're driving all the way to Cumberland's, Kentucky.
Yeah, well, we had 6 a.m. training the day before. So 6 a.m. training, went for an hour for our game day -1, and then let the girls go shower, get into the training room, and then we were on the bus by 9. And so, we get in there around 5:30, 6 o'clock. And so it's your whole days on the bus. Get into the hotel, and then they do like a little jog stretch. It's dinner, and then it's bed. And then the next morning you're up and it's tactics, and then it's, let's get to the game and see what happens.
5-4-1 right now. And the clubs that you have played, number 22, Georgia Gwinnett, number 10, University of Tennessee Southern, that was at Orange Beach. And then you got to pair that one up with William Carey, who has been stout defensively so far this season, ranked at number 2. It was a 2-0 win over the former Martin Methodist, now the University of Tennessee Southern. Then it's William Carey at number 2. You lose that one 2-1. Then it's a win against Thomas. Then you play St. Thomas, not to confuse the two, but it's St. Thomas and Miami after playing Thomas in Thomasville. Then you play number 1 Kaiser. Then it's number 2 University of the Cumberlands. Can you talk to the schedule maker here a little bit? This is chaos.
I know. It was difficult getting games. It was really difficult. We won, and people didn't want to play us. And so it was really difficult. I mean, the top teams want to play you, but, we couldn't get games at home. And so, we've only had 1 game up to this point. We've been on the road for 10, and we have another road trip this weekend, and then we're finally home for 2 games. And it's draining. It's a learning curve, but it is what it is. And we knew, the team's known about it. And so, we were trying to prepare as much as we can, but it's been one of those seasons where, we're playing against top competition and we're competing. And so it's just getting that final piece. How can we score goals? When it comes to those important matches and important moments in the game when we're in situations to be able to finish.
When you lose 12 and you bring in the replacements of that new wave, and then obviously folks that were getting minutes have the opportunity to turn into starters for you in 2025, how difficult has this integration been with folks that were there getting the chance to start, folks coming in trying to compete for place, position, and start? What has this been like for you and the staff to try to have all of these moving parts here in the first 10 matches?
Yeah, we've had a pretty consistent starting 11 for the most part, but there have been a few changes that we can't really figure out. And I think we've finally gotten to that point where we've changed our formation up a little bit. We've changed, a few personnel here and there. And so it's one of those things that happens. You have to try new things. You have to, integrate the new players, and they have to quickly mature. And so I think that's the biggest difference between us this year and last year was that consistency and maturity on the field, just the experience, and it does go a long way. And so we're trying to get these players, they're getting minutes, and it's building. And so at this point in the season, you can't really say that they don't have the experience because they've been going up against the top teams. And so hopefully they're as prepared as we need them to be going into this conference part of our season.
You've got 8 different goal scorers so far. You've got, I think, half of them have more than 1 goal. Brag on your offense a little bit for those that are going to be wandering in and watching you for the first time as you get into Sun Conference play. Who are some of the folks that folks will naturally gravitate toward here in 25?
Yeah, Mia Gomez has been fantastic. And she is one that, during nationals, she would sub in and she scored some pretty important goals for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then she's been really consistent on the ball, which has been great. Ida Akison, she is another returner, and she's our attacking mid right now. And she's crucial to our attack. And so she's been able to get a few goals this season as well. Other than that, we're throwing in a lot of different forwards and seeing who's gonna mesh and who's gonna be able to create something. And we've had a goal from this person, a goal from that person. And so there's an opportunity for someone to really step up and take over one of those other forward positions.
I'm trying to do some math here, and that's never been my strong suit. So 10, 11, you have 11 players that have Sweden as a part of their birth certificate and their passport. How, I guess my first question is, how 11 players from Sweden gravitating to SCAD? How does this happen?
Yeah, well, we've always had a few Swedes on the team. And so what's happened recently is the recruiters that I've been actively working with to get the other ones, they were just sending me some really top quality talent. And so when I graduated so many, it was easy to get these new players in. So
well, and I mean, it's like, hey, Sweden's worked for me so far. Keep basically, you're just sitting there going, yeah, come on, keep coming.
Oh no, bring him over, please.
What has been the biggest, I guess, I don't necessarily want to use culture shock, but what has been the biggest adjustment for those players coming over from Sweden to figure out that they need to go to Williams Seafood at least once a week to try to get their fix? Or, for the players that are the U.S. born to be there with their Swedish teammates. What's that culture blend been like for you guys?
Yeah, well, we talked early on, and we have a sheet for them that's like common terms on the field, and just making sure that English is the predominant language on the pitch. And so that's been really important, just to make sure that they're not speaking in Swedish around everybody else, so that everybody can understand, especially during games. And then I think for the Swedes, the weather was a big thing right at the beginning. It's really hot here, humid, and so acclimating to that was a bit tricky for them. But yeah, no, the great thing about the Swedes is that they love soccer, right? And so they come in and they are able to become part of the team, and they're able to, embrace just the culture here in America. It's something that they've seen on maybe television or, with other interactions of other girls who have come over. And so, so it has been great, and they've been able to fit in really well.
And we do have some folks that are consuming both in an audio and a video form, and we do have some questions for you, and they want to know out of the blocks. So when is normal training time during the week? Is it that 6 a.m. or was that 6 a.m. just out of necessity before you hit the road?
Yeah, that was just out of necessity. So on Monday and Wednesdays, we actually train at 5 p.m. And that's because on Wednesdays, that's a typical conference game day for us. And so if we have a home game, that home game is going to be at 7. And so I have those late sessions those nights just so we're not missing class. And then Tuesday, Thursday, we train at 11. So Fridays at 9:30. So we, typically during the day.
When it comes to obviously attracting folks to SCAD from Sweden, obviously that's one part in all of this. But you mentioned the integration, which I thought was really cool in all of this. Do you have multiple Swedes? And this is just a question that popped into my head. Do you have multiple Swedes talking to each other on set pieces in Swedish so the opposition can't understand what they're saying?
No, we don't.
Okay, I was like, so are there times when they can have communication with one another and they know where they're going and they can just have that conversation and the other team's sitting there going, well, what's going on here? I mean, it's that kind of confusion. When it comes to conference play in and of itself, how would you break down how competitive the Sun is when it comes to everything going on as folks in the conference are chasing after postseason berths and championships? How competitive is it in conference this year? Yeah,
the Sun Conference is really competitive. I think obviously we have our counterpart, Kaiser, who we saw in the national championship last year, so 1 and 2, and then and they're having a fantastic season. And so we're looking forward to seeing them again. And then we've got Southeastern, who's really strong this year. St. Thomas is really strong. We already went down and saw St. Thomas. We ended up tying them 0-0. And so, yeah, the Sun Conference overall, I think we have 4. I mean, you could touch on a few more, but 4 really competitive teams.
I look at the new College of Florida, and this is kind of where my brain goes on a wall past Wednesday, where anything is on the table. I had never heard of the Fighting Banyans before. Their nickname. Apparently, it is an angry gold tree with blue trim. The banyan tree that is the new College of Florida, and I'm like, okay, hey, look, you guys win. You guys win the mascot bit. I mean, that's a clear win for you guys. How much have you learned about yourself, and how much has the staff learned about itself with the international influence that comes in and everyone else coming in from outside the southeastern United States footprint? How much have you guys learned about yourself and how to construct a program and keep it as successful as you have over time?
Yeah, well, I have a new assistant now, and she came from Youngstown, but she's originally from Czech. And so she's been great. I just like having that balance of an international assistant coach as well, since I'm American. And so we're able to communicate and really work with the girls. I mean, last night she was having a conversation on the bus about the visa process and all that sort of stuff. And so it's nice to have that balance within the staff. But I think we put a lot of emphasis into making sure that, it's not just all about soccer here. And so it's also about them becoming great human beings. And so being able to have, the balance of the internationals and the Americans, and just being good humans in general. It's a lot of what our focus is as well.
Yeah, Anita Mariskova is in her first year coming from Youngstown to be a part of things. And, you have the Horizon League, you have that influence, all of her contacts that are up in the Northeast. What have you learned from her, and what would you say in return? What has she learned from you in this first season that the two of you have been together?
Yeah. I think what's great for Anita is that she's been a part of all different levels coaching wise. And so she's just come from a D1 level and come down to SCAD. And a big thing for her so far that she's said to the girls several times is like, you guys have it really well. We eat well. We stay in nice places. We have coaches that care about you, all those sort of things. And she's like, for a lot of players, it's the grass is always greener, or what is out there. And so her coming in with being at all these different levels, coaching and playing, she's been able to kind of give that insight to the team and to me as well, because I've been here for, it feels like forever now. And so it's nice to kind of have that reassurance that, yeah, we do things right. And we take care of the girls, and SCAD takes care of us at the end of the day as well, by giving us the opportunity to financially be able to support and do the things that we want to do in order to make the program the best that it can be.
Rebecca Gunn, head coach at SCAD, hanging out with us here, breaking everything down as they get ready for hitting the Sun Conference in full, number 9 in the country. 20th year with SCAD, 11th as head coach. What has it been like for you to see the program go from where it was when you first walked in the door to where it is now?
Yeah, I feel like we've always been a competitive program, but I feel like more recently we're one of those programs that we're playing against top 10 opponents, and we're right there. We're right in the game. Whereas I feel like in years past, I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was if I saw that we were playing against a top 10 team, it would be like true underdog story where it's like, hey, we've got nothing to lose, we've got to go for it. And you weren't going into the game really confident that you were going to come out with the win. Whereas now, I step away from those games and, I'm disappointed we didn't win last night because we outshot them. We had opportunities. Like, it's that mindset, and it's the level of the players and the level of, I guess, confidence that I feel like we should have as a team.
Winning the title in 24, NAIA National Championship at 21 and 20-1-2, not 21 and 2, but 20-1-2, and being a national champ. And now everybody's sitting there going, no, we don't want to play you. No, we know what you bring to the table. We ain't playing you for nothing. It's great to see you. Are you going to get in a nap today at any time?
I hope so.
So when did you officially get back into campus after coming back from Cumberland?
It was 3:50 a.m.
Whoa!
I know.
But no, I look, I can't nap in the daytime, and literally for me. So is there a point where you just kind of sit there and you almost treat it like college, where if you know you got stuff going on, if you're only going to get like a 2-hour nap and it's an overnight thing, you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'll do an all nighter and make it up later.
Hmm. Yeah, we told the girls they have to go to their 8 a.m. classes, which is pretty rough. But I think they all slept on the bus. I mean, they should be fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, you slept on the bus. You've got an 8 o'clock class. I did an interview at 10:30 in the morning where I was talking to folks about what's going on at SCAD. So is practice later today? Is it a 5 o'clocker today?
5 o'clock. Yeah. We'll do a recovery for the ones that played over 60 minutes, and then the other players who played under 60 minutes will get a heavier session in. So
Yes, and so looking forward to keeping an eye on how things are as you hit the Sun Conference schedule hard, ranked top 10 in the NAIA on the women's side right now, 5-4-1, coming in at the middle of the night to come and hang out with us here on the morning show. Warner in Lake Wales on Saturday, 10:30 in the morning. Seriously?
yeah. I'm not quite sure. I don't know why it's that early, but I mean, it gets us home earlier as well. So
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing that popped into my head, is that you guys get to go, you get back at a decent hour, but I didn't know if this was like an agreed to thing where, yeah, we'll do 10:30 in the morning. It's like, okay, so breakfast has to be really early. Then we got to get over there and we got to make sure that everybody's okay for this match. So, so is that 10:30 up for negotiation, or is that still solid?
not solid.
Okay.
It's solid.
Do not be a stranger. Like I said, I can't thank you enough for coming in, especially after getting back to SCAD in the middle of the night, to come and hang out with us here on the morning show and give us the breakdown after the first 10 matches as you're chasing after defending a national title. Coach, I can't thank you enough. It's great to see you. Do not be a stranger. We'll obviously be knocking on your door soon. And good luck this weekend as you hit Sun Conference play.
Thank you, John.
There we go. That's Rebecca Gunn. She's the head coach of a top 10 team in the NAIA on the women's side. Defending champs at 20-1-2 last season, getting the win. And it was our first chance to catch up with everybody down there at SCAD as a part of the Red Clay Soccer Report. And so do not be surprised that if you hear this interview as a part of Red Clay coming up in the next episode, where we go through everything. And I was trying to look at all the different conferences. And literally it is the Sun, the Peach Belt, SoCon, the Southern States, and all of the other places that are attached. And so all of these points in between, that's what you have on a weekly basis that we try to catch you up on the men's side, on the women's side, when it comes to the sport here in our footprint here at SDH. Can't thank Coach enough for dropping by, getting in at 2:30 in the morning to come and hang out with us here on the morning show. Full credit, absolutely. So now it was great to catch up with her. And like I said, when the next round of Red Clay comes out, don't be surprised if this is one of our anchor segments. If you missed the episode that was released last night, Red Clay Soccer Report, powered by our friends at Nofo Brewing, we got to catch up with Alex Palma, the head boys coach at Life University. They are one of 3 squads that is getting votes currently out of the southern states. And I think the new poll just came out, as a matter of fact, or at least it should come out at some point today. Hang on just a second. Let me see if men's soccer has released their October 1 poll. They have. Okay. So no, that's September 3rd. Where's the poll? Men's soccer. There should be an up-to-date poll. Florida Nationals Felipe Ribeiro had 3 for the NAIA Offensive Player of the Week, as the Florida National got the win over number 6 Bellevue, and Philip Borca has a 6 save performance to get Defensive Player of the Week for him, as Florida College beat Bellevue of Nebraska, ranked at number 6. They're 4-3-1, 1-0 in conference play. They get Warner and Florida National this week, also in the Sun Conference. So more headlines. I need more headlines. Okay, so 2025 polls. Okay, so here we go. Regular season resources. It is not posted yet. So waiting on the men's poll and the women's poll. Supposed to come out today, and they come out every other week. Every 2 weeks is when when the new polls come out in the NAIA. The old poll, the last one that was posted on the 17th, had Dalton State at number 1 with a record of 5-0-1. At the time the last poll was released, Dalton State, top-ranked team on the men's side, they had a 30-match unbeaten string. And we're trying to catch up with our friends at Dalton State also, since they are top-ranked in the NAI as of right now. Also getting votes as a part of this in the southern states and in the Sun and in our footprint, Cumberland's on the men's side down to number 4, Lindsey Wilson, and this is the Mid-South Conference that is attached in the NAIA. So it's Lindsey Wilson out of Kentucky. Cumberland's out of Kentucky. It is Kaiser out of Florida on the men's side, up from 17 to 9. They're in the Sun. William Carey down from 8 to 10 in the southern states. Cumberland of Tennessee, that's a part of that Mid-South group, there up to 13. Georgia Gwinnett was getting votes. You can follow along everything going on with Georgia Gwinnett here on the network as well. We are tied into the Grizzlies this season. Xavier of Louisiana is up to 18. Life is getting votes on the men's side. They're up to 19 at 4-0-2, and they've won since then. That's why we caught up with Coach Palma on the previous episode of Red Clay. And then you have in the getting votes category places like Faulkner, Tennessee Southern, Union out of Kentucky, which is now Union Commonwealth. Florida National is attached. Mobile and Michael Azira. We're trying to catch up with him in a future episode as well of everything going on in the Roots. And let's see, LSU Alexandria is there, Bethel, Tennessee is there, and St. Thomas of Florida is there. So there's a lot of influence on the men's side when it comes to the southeastern footprint and what is going on in men's soccer. Just to be up and at 'em when it comes to everything on the women's side of things. Once again, right now, SCAD, before the new poll comes out, is ranked at number 9 in the poll. And so currently, where is it? Where's the old poll? I have to hit the bar. There we go. So here's the rundown. Kaiser, Florida at number 1. Cumberland's of Kentucky at number 2. And once again, 1-0 loss for SCAD last night in Williamsburg, Kentucky. I have been there. It is a gorgeous campus. You go into the foothills of Kentucky. It is just on the flip side of the border when you're coming north from Tennessee. And literally, it is a town. Williamsburg, Kentucky is a town where you get off at the main exit, you go down into the holler, and that's where the school is. Football stadium is gorgeous. They have like twin spires, like Churchill Downs. And if you go to the other side, that's where you go and you get all your gear because the Walmart is on the other side of the freeway in the southbound lane. So anyway, William Carey at number 3 on the girls' side. On the women's side, you have SCAD ranked at number 9. Saga Brintason going through the last poll had a save percentage of 737, and then they got into conference play, and you had Oklahoma Wesleyan at number 10. You have Cumberland of Tennessee at 14, Truett McConnell at 15, representing the AAC. That's another conference that we have to get into. Tennessee Southern down to 16, Live Georgia at 17, Georgia Gwinnett at 19, Tennessee Wesleyan at 25. Others getting votes. Southeastern out of the Sun, which is competition for SCAD. Then you have Xavier of Louisiana and Lindsey Wilson out of Kentucky. So that is the rundown on the men's and women's side when it comes to anything and everything going on with women's soccer, men's soccer, and the NAIA. Okay. You have what is going on. So Abby's not a fan of Kaiser, any of their teams. Abby has a son who is an Ottawa U grad, and Kaiser's women's flag football were not nice. So Abby's like a SCAD fan by association. And you also have, let's see, so what's going on that we need to talk about? We got to get into what happened in Champions League yesterday. We've got to get into the U20s and what happened there last night. So U20s, so we end up with the last 12 minutes of chaos. Last night, you had Japan over Chile 2-0 at a plus 121. South Korea, Paraguay was a draw at a plus 220, at a goalless draw at a plus 220. New Zealand beat Egypt 2-1 at a plus 290. And Panama and Ukraine played, I think, 7 minutes of extra time and of added time, and it was a plus 246 and a 1-all draw. So that was what happened today, yesterday in the U20s. Today in the U20s, the U.S., by the way, does not play until tomorrow at 4 o'clock. They are an underdog to France at a plus 187. France right now is a favorite at a plus 117. Today, 4 o'clock, 9 o'clock, FS1, FS2. Italy and Cuba. Cuba is a big underdog at a plus 3140. Italy's a minus 2,000. Spain, even money plus 100, taking on Mexico. Mexico is a plus 238. Your draws a plus 242. 7 o'clockers, Argentina minus 208 hosting Australia at a plus 453. Brazil favored at a -119 going up against Morocco at +313. If you're not watching the activity in Open Cup or Campeones or Can Champ, watch the U20s. Brazil, Morocco, underrated matchup tonight, 7 o'clock, and on FS1 and 2. We'll get into where to watch it coming up in a bit. Yesterday in Champions League. Surprises? Yes. We'll find out what happens today as the league phase continues. ATLUTD put 5 on Eintracht Frankfurt. Bodo Glimt drew Spurs at 2 at a +258. Chelsea beat Benfica 1-0. They had the early goal, and Benfica tried to continue to chase. They could not get the equalizer. Chelsea got the win at a -152. Galatasaray over Liverpool 1-0 in Turkey, winning at a +404. Injury concerns now for Alisson and Ekitike. Keep an eye on that. Inter shut out Slavia Prague yesterday at a -370, 3-0. Marseille shut out Ajax 4-0. Bayern beat Paphos 5-1 at a -909. Atalanta beat Club Brugge at a -128, 2-1. Real Madrid beat Kairat Almaty, and it was early and over at a -1111, 5-0 your final there. Today, matches in Champions League, 2 at 12:45. One of them on the turf surface at Karabag, as FC Copenhagen gets to travel all the way out to Karabag to take them on at a +118. Karabag is a dog at a +247. Newcastle to Royal Union Saint-Gilloise. Newcastle favored at a -110. Royal Union is almost a +300. 3 o'clockers, Arsenal big favorite at a -526 against Olympiacos. The matchup at 3 o'clock, Barca and PSG. That one is at Montjuic. Barcelona is a -141. PSG with a lot of injuries, including Kvaratskhelia and Doué. That is PSG's at a +325. Leverkusen a -120 hosting PSV. Dortmund a -130 hosting Athletic Bilbao. Manchester City at Monaco at a -244. Monaco a +550 at home. Napoli a +106 hosting Sporting at a +267. And Villarreal a +119 favored at home against Juve at a +239. So that's your Champions League today. And then the league phase doesn't kick back in for another 3 weeks. So today, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Dortmund and Athletic Club, 3 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. The Open Cup final is at 8 with Austin and Nashville. And then the USL Championship is Sacramento and Orange County at 10:30. So a full day on CBS Sports Network. FS1 has the U20 Brazil-Morocco match at 7. FS2 has Spain-Mexico at 4. Argentina-Australia at 7 o'clock. So that's how you divide your time there. Fox Deportes, doubleheader in Peru's Primera, 7 and 9:30. Alianza Atletico and Universitario, followed by Alianza Lima and Atletico Grau. Spain and Mexico's at 4 o'clock on Telemundo. LA Galaxy and Toluca Campeones Cup is on Apple TV and Season Pass at 10:30. ESPN Plus, El Paso has a businessman special locally at 2 o'clock Eastern time against Oakland Roots, who unveiled a third jersey yesterday. Birmingham and North Carolina is at 8 o'clock. We're catching up with Kaylor Hodges tonight. We will run that segment with you tomorrow. There's a lot going on in the USL, especially where the USLPA is concerned with their relationship, which is quite contentious with the USL. So we have that to get into with Kaylor to start things off as we get toward the end of the regular season in Championship and League One. Look at the playoffs. Look at Collin County and everybody coming in Reno and in Beaumont. Or no, down south. It's South Texas has another Harlingen, I think. So Brownsville, that's the one. So it's Brownsville, Reno. Boise is selling out a lot of their stuff. And you've got a lot of different places coming online in USL Championship. We have to get into the Texoma-Collin County situation as well. Texoma looks like they're moving to McKinney. So we'll find out about that with Kaylor tonight. We'll run that tomorrow. Also, it is League One. Omaha and Portland is at noon. So once again, a businessman special with our friend Jamie Henderson and Los Bujos, the Murder Owls. Knoxville and Chattanooga is at 6:30. Fox Soccer Plus, Italy and Cuba in the U20s at 4. Central American Cup, Plaza Amador and Real España is at 8. MLSNextPro.com goes back to our discussion involving MLS Next Pro and the playoffs in the East and the West. FC Cincinnati 2 at Northern Kentucky University. Tonight, Red Bulls 2, 7:30. Red Bulls need the win to stay in the fight for the top seed in the overall. This is their makeup game to get them figured out before decision day on Sunday. Where do they stand ahead of Philadelphia Union 2? The same for the Town as they try to solidify the second place in the West at 10 o'clock, taking on Vancouver Whitecaps 2. So those are on MLSNextPro.com tonight. Atlanta United 2, we'll get into that in a second as we wrap things up. Paramount Plus has all of your Champions League action. 2 at 12:45 and 7 at 3 o'clock. English Championship playing in the midweek. 2 at 2:45. Millwall, Coventry City, Norwich, and West Brom. QPR and Oxford United is at 3. Rich says he mentions that the Philadelphia Union can win the Pie Plate on Saturday. That is absolutely true. They can do that. CONCACAF W Champions Cup. Gotham and Washington tonight at 7. Pachuca and Alajuelense tonight at 9. Open Cup final is at 8. USL Championship, Sac Republic, Orange County, once again at 10:30. All that's available Paramount Plus. Peacock, U20. Italy, Cuba at 4. Brazil, Morocco at 7. Women's side, once again, ESPN Plus has the W Champions Cup doubleheader. Paramount Plus also has the W Champions Cup doubleheader. So that's it for your Wednesday and what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it. So that's the rundown there. So once again, remember, we finally have the idea on the conclusion of match week 26 for Atlanta United 2 and Chattanooga. Get into it more tomorrow. But like I said, Kaylor Hodges joining us in hour number 1. Then we'll lead off with Kaylor. Then we'll get into the twos discussion, Champions League and all the things. Then get into the Power Hour with Nino and Nico. Get you ready for your week at 10 and 10:30. That's tomorrow. Once again, tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Closed door, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. Atlanta United 2 plays the 20 minutes, 30 seconds, plus any other added time from injury or just added time in general. They're down a goal. They've got a sub. Chattanooga FC does not. 3 players on that 11 that have to take up the space have yellow cards. Going up against Atlanta United 2, Atlanta United 2 needs to try and salvage at least a point in that 20 minutes because right now they're below the playoff bar in MLS Next Pro. And we will continue to talk about this a lot. A point out of the playoffs, but a win, if they were to come back and win, 3 points would put them at 40. They would be in the 7. Take it to penalty kicks and win. That gets them to 39. They would still be ahead of Core because they have one more win. Core has only 8 wins in 27 matches. 10 draws, by the way. Going to PKs and losing in PKs keeps them in 9th, but it puts them at 38 points. Chattanooga FC, with all that they have to focus on, they're a part of that group 3, 4, 5, 6. Chattanooga hangs on there at 51 points. They're at 13 wins. Revs would still be ahead of them in goal difference. So they would be 4th with a win tomorrow afternoon. Chattanooga, if they go to shootout and win, they'd be at 50 points. They'd be in 4th. If they go to shootout and lose, they would be at 48 points. They'd be at 49 points tied with Huntsville. But once again, Huntsville has one more win. Chattanooga stays in 5th. So win in regulation, you're 4th. Win in PKs, you're 4th. Lose in PKs, you're 5th. Lose, you're in 5th. Atlanta United 2 will build up. You lose, you stay in 9th. You're at 37 points. You need a win in Chattanooga on decision day to get north of the playoff bar as it stands. And we'll go through on Friday. We'll go through all of the permutations too with the other clubs. Take it to PKs and lose, you get to 38 points. You're still in 9th. Take it to PKs and win, you're at 39 points. You're in 7th because you have one more win than Core. You win, you come back and score 2 goals in 20 minutes plus whatever's added. You're in 7th. You have 2 more wins than Core and a match to go. So that's the math that's associated tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 20 minutes, 30 seconds, plus any other discretionary time added by the center ref. That's what's left in the season heading into decision day for Atlanta United 2. It's chaos in both conferences, and it's going to go to decision day. We'll be in Chattanooga. 12:30 pregame, 103 kick Sunday afternoon. Jason heading to Los Angeles for Sunday Night Soccer. Maddie will be at 92.9 The Game for pre and post. I will be in Chattanooga. We'll try and do a crossover segment with our buddy Gabe Schrei and find out what's been going on in Chattanooga with him calling the matches this season. So we'll probably have a togetherness segment with our buddy Gabe in the pregame show, and we'll lay it all out for you there. But I'll be at Fort Finley Sunday afternoon at 103 kick, 12:30 pregame show on the SDH network. So that is where we are where Atlanta United 2 is concerned. Whew. Let's get into the other news, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. If there's anything else that we've missed that is on the board. No, I don't want to learn more about that particular phone. Let's see. Mbappe hat trick was a part of Real's route of Kairat Almaty. You have apparently David Beckham earned $23.6 million in dividends from his business empire last year. So congratulations to David Beckham. Pep Guardiola admits that Rodri still cannot cope with playing 3 games a week in his injury recovery. Eddie Howe admits that he's calling for a reaction today against Union Saint-Gilloise. Quote, "We need to perform." Chris Wilder, did you see this yesterday? So Southampton gets a 2-1 comeback win against Sheffield United, who is starting the season in the cellar in USL Championship. The only reason that Sheffield Wednesday is not there because Sheffield United is because of a season-starting point deduction. Chris Wilder was sent off for kicking a ball into the crowd at halftime. Literally, he's walking off the field. He's not happy with what's been going on with Sheffield United. He kicks the ball into the stands and gets a red card. He's done. Ross Stewart had a second-half double for Southampton and a 2-1 win. Adam Armstrong misses a penalty in first-half stoppage time. Chris Wilder kicked the ball into the stands moments after the halftime whistle. And home fans apparently also were mad about center ref's controversial decision to rule out a last-minute header. Since Chris Wilder got a red card, Alan Canill, the assistant manager, was the one left to the press conference. Quote, "I'm the last person that criticizes. But I have to say that when everybody sees something it's so blatant, but they don't, then obviously it's a cause for frustration. It is what it is. I'm going to say as well that this was a big game tonight. Didn't think he had the experience to manage this game tonight. I thought it was a bigger game than him, so why? Even though it's not a top-of-the-table game, 2 really big clubs in the division, so I think there could have been better refs, and he could have had more help, maybe." Championship, by the way, did have a midweek when it came to their matches. And so, but one of the benefactors was not Sheffield United. It was Middlesbrough. So you have also on the board, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that was missed. We mentioned the Saliba signing yesterday. Jose Mourinho says he's not fed by memories after a warm welcome on his return to Chelsea. It took him 10 minutes for the crowd to turn and start chanting Jose Mourinho's name. So that was intriguing, but not necessarily surprising. Bayern Munich made comments over idiots paying for Nick Voltemade irrelevant, according to Eddie Howe. So Eddie Howe has leapt to Voltemade's defense after Bayern Munich executive Karl-Heinz Rummenigge claimed Stuttgart had found an idiot to pay £69 million for him. Arrived at St. James Park for the club record fee on deadline day as Newcastle reinvested £130 million they'd raked in for Alexander Isak. Bayern were engaged in a race to sign Voltemade. Ultimately, he had defeat, prompting Rummenigge to tell Blickpunkt Sport, quote, "I congratulate Stuttgart because they found an idiot who paid the money we didn't want to pay in Munich." Asked about the comments at his match day -1, Eddie Howe said the market forces dictate transfer fees, not necessarily any one club. We're very pleased to have Nick with us. I think he started very strongly in what's been a difficult period for him because he's thrust straight into the action. No training time really of any note, and I think he's done really, really well. We're really pleased to have him with us, and the transfer fee for me is absolutely irrelevant, end quote. So Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, suckers born every minute, thinking that Newcastle's a bunch of suckers. And Newcastle and Eddie Howe are basically wagging their finger at him and going, not so fast, my friend. We're quite happy with the gentleman that we have. Thank you very much. Let's see if there's anything going on in the times that we missed. We were discussing the 51-page report that was put out by FIFPro about start times for the cup that the world is chasing after in 2026. Martin Ziegler, and once again, when Martin Ziegler's name pops up at the Times on a byline, you're not necessarily all that fond. Shocking no one, once again, FIFA's wrestling with kickoff times that could mean England play games that start after midnight UK time because of concerns over heat. It's like, what? East Coast would be after 7 o'clock in the evening, or 7 o'clock in the evening, so it's a night game. Now, I love how this is turned. It's like they could be starting after midnight. Well, yeah, because the U.S. East Coast is 5 hours behind and as many as 8. If they're out west, then guess what? It's an 8-hour time difference, and you could be with a match at 4 o'clock in the morning. But I don't think that's going to hurt revenues any for any establishment that wants to be open in the middle of the night to celebrate those kinds of things. Yeah, night games. Shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. But the headline sitting there saying 5 of the 16 stadia being used by host nations have roofs. Many of the others, such as venues in Miami and New York, New Jersey, have no cover at all for fans or players. European broadcasters want afternoon kickoffs for top European teams, such as England, who are expected to qualify. As playing 8 p.m. kickoffs on the East Coast would mean a 1 a.m. start in the UK and even later for venues such as LA. Yes, that's true. Our media guys, according to Victor Montaliani, are in conversations daily with European media, with other world media in terms of what's best, which stadiums that you can play at 3 p.m. like Atlanta. So it's all in the mix. Schedule, once again, remember, comes out December 5th. We will be all over that in 2 months' time. You will have SDH AM kind of setting the table for you. Probably will not be in this particular building. We will probably be someplace else. Then all-day coverage on the SDH network about the draw. We'll set you up. Maddie and Jason will take over in the lunch hour. Then we'll have all the review and all the things that are lining up. Then on December 5th, we'll know the grid. And we'll lay it all out for you as to what it is. But we're going to be wall-to-wall December 5th when the grid comes out and the where. And we'll find out where everybody's playing and where you might be getting your tickets and what it looks like. So that's the grid on December 5th. Keep an eye on the start times, and I know that some folks in Europe are going to sit there and go, oh, my God, why can't we watch a game, in prime time, our time? Well, you could. It could be just in a roof stadium. You just have to keep an eye on that kind of stuff. 5 of the 16 have roofs. If you have night games, which you will, some of these other cities, you won't necessarily have to be as concerned. But the gnashing of teeth and the wringing of hands right now is not necessarily a surprise either. So that's what we're staring at when it comes to all the things this morning. Once again, remember, tomorrow, Kaylor Hodges from the USL show, he's joining us in hour number 1. We will preview the twos because they're going to kick off at 1 o'clock with the remaining 20 minutes and 30 seconds to put match day 26 to bed to get ready for match day 28. All the things in Champions League, the 3 title games going on tonight. Nino and Nico in the Power Hour joining us at 10 and 10:30. We'll talk Libertadores, Sudamericana, what's going on in Portugal, what's going on in South America, get you ready for the weekend of Major League Soccer. That's all tomorrow. Nino and Nico, Kaylor Hodges, everything USL, getting you ready for Champions League, US, and with MLS Next Pro, all the things and all the news that's coming through. Because of that, we got to save our breath. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do here on SDH AM, back in a little less than 22 hours. Thanks to Rebecca Gunn, the head coach at SCAD, ranked number 9 on the women's side in the NAIA, who got back in the middle of the night from a game in Williamsburg, Kentucky, and she came in and hung out with us for a little bit. Thanks to Dylan Butler, who's getting ready for action in college and in high school, football and lacrosse and soccer. So watch him on Varsity Media on the YouTubes. And as always, thanks to the vacationing Tyler Pilgrim, and thanks much to the boss who let him play on the veranda where we could see what's going on in Orlando on a very high porch patio kind of a thing. So thanks to Tyler, thanks to Dylan, thanks to Coach, and thanks to all of you for hanging out with us as you always do. That's it for another go around of SDH AM. Back in a little less than 22 hours. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Play it safe, everybody. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. Busy day tomorrow as we kind of start things going for the weekend that comes in. We'll check you later.